Okay, are we good? All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry for those technical difficulties. We are back. Coming at you live with episode 2 of Coby's Brain, May 17th, 2020. May 17th, 2020. Again, for those of you who don't know, Coby's Brain is a blog that has turned into a vlog and serves a variety of purposes that we are going to today we're going to get into later on in the show. But we review a variety of different types of content in order to create a very large database of Coby's opinions regarding things. All right, so we're going to start out in the entertainment section with a very iconic 1979 film directed by Francis Ford Coppola, Apocalypse Now. So, Apocalypse Now is a adaptation of the book Heart of Darkness that was instead of being about the Congo, it takes place in the setting of the Vietnam War, and watched it last night for the first time. Was really glad I got the opportunity to do that because it was a super interesting, super thought-provoking movie about a variety of that I would say I learned a lot from. It's pretty violent, as are most films about the Vietnam War, and it's kind of known as one of the best movies about the Vietnam War to this day. So, basically, without giving away any spoilers for those of you who haven't seen the movie, the main character, who's Martin Sheen, is tasked with taking a boat up the river, much like in the book Heart of Darkness, and he has to take out a former American, colonel, I believe, maybe general, very high-ranking American Army official in the Vietnam War, and it's the reason he has to do that is because this individual has gotten somewhat out of hand. He's taken the war kind of into his own hands, and as a result of that, the American army, he's gone rogue. So the American army's like, all right, this guy's got to go. Martin Sheen, make it happen. So Martin Sheen, through a variety of misadventures, manages to reach the top of the river where this, former American colonel has effectively made himself a deity to the other people there, and is being extremely ruthless, super violent, and basically espouses this philosophy of the virtues of extreme violence, and it's a bit disturbing, but very timely, I guess, in with regards to Vietnam and how to succeed in that war, I guess. So that's a little disturbing. It kind of delves into just how dark humans can go. The answer is pretty dark. So really interesting, thought-provoking movie. A little bit gratuitously violent. And I don't know. People have debated whether or not it's pro or anti-war. I was reading about an interview with Francis Ford Coppola where he said, "I don't understand how people can interpret this movie as being anti-war, considering the fact that, you know, certain scenes like the Ride of the Valkyrie scene with all the epic helicopters just like riding in to go attack some civilians, you know, in a really glorified way to Ride of the Valkyries. It's a scene that it's one of those scenes. I should have included it up on in these images, but it's kind of hard to imagine that. I mean, it being anything but, you know, kind of, you know, people say that they'll show that scene to soldiers to like get them amped up to go and fight. So it's, I don't know, interesting film, very thought-provoking. I gave it an 8.1, so that's a pretty good review. Ultimately, really an entertaining and thought-provoking film. If you haven't watched it, I recommend doing so. So, we are now going to talk about, we're going to transition into the music section. It's been a pretty busy week for me, so I haven't really gotten to watch a whole lot of movies or TV shows. So that does mean, though, because I haven't been able to watch as much content, I've been, you know, working really hard on this project, and while doing that, I have pretty much been exclusively listening to the new Nav album, which came out earlier this month. So Nav, big fan of this guy. He is a fellow Indian, but that's not the only reason I like him. It's definitely a reason that I like him, but I've been a fan of him for a really long time. He was introduced to me by my friend Nico Ponza, and ever since then I've been sold, and his albums have consistently gotten phenomenal ratings on Coby's music blog. So this latest album is called Good Intentions, but he actually made it kind of a two-parter. So the second part, it's like the first part is, you know, just like the Good Intentions, and then he also included a mixtape, which was Brown Boy 2. That's effectively what he refers to himself as, because he's Punjabi, and so, you know, the album's really good. It's not particularly different than any of his other albums, but if you like his other albums, you know, you're gonna like this album. I am someone who does like his other albums, so yeah, I enjoyed this album. I had a great time listening to it, and you know, continuing to learn more about Nav and his come up, which, by the way, is huge. Shout out Nav. This is his second album that's, you know, it's currently number one on Billboard Top 200. A bunch of his songs are doing, so he's doing big things, you know. He's doing huge things. He has a ton of features on this album, like Gunna, Young Thug, Travis Scott. He even has one with Pop Smoke, which is pretty crazy. Rest in peace. Basically, if you haven't heard this album, it's making big splashes, so I recommend checking it out. I gave this an 8.2, which is a great rating for you know, an album on, but in terms of Nav's albums, it's definitely not the highest Nav has gotten on Coby's music blog. Not just because, you know, I don't think it's anything particularly novel, but I do really like this album, and I'm gonna continue to listen to a lot of the bangers, which currently on the Coby queue are Turks, which is with Gunna and Travis Scott, Status, which is with Lil Uzi Vert, Codeine with Gunna, Two-Face, Sprite Clean, and Pine Sol. So definitely recommend checking out those songs, but, you know, if you haven't, But I'm sure I'll be listening to it for quite some time and continuing to grow in my appreciation for this album. If there's any other bangers that really stand out, I think I'll mention them on future episodes. So way to go. Shout out to my fellow Indian for this. Way to go, Nav. So next we're going to talk about, this is with regards to Coby's food blog. So if you are a follower of Coby's food blog on Instagram, if you're not, I recommend checking it out. We review all of the best foods that I eat. And so, I guess coming up soon, keep an eye out for a review on stuffed peppers. My producer and girlfriend Amanda made a delicious batch of stuffed peppers the other day and absolutely crushed it and got me really stoked for continuing to eat this food in the future. So way to go, Amanda. I'm a big fan of stuffed peppers. It's pretty healthy, super tasty. You add rice and meats, some dairy-free cheeses in there. You're gonna get a great meal. Very nutritious, very well-rounded. So I give stuffed peppers an 8.5. That's big time. I hope to eat a lot of stuffed peppers in the near future.
Someone in the chat said, Coby, can you share some advice on how to enjoy trap music?
Who said that?
420 Nug.
Thank you. Yo. Oh, wow. I haven't even checked the chat. Shout out Christian. Shout out Drew Semler. Not sure who 420 Nug is, but shout out to you two. Advice on how to enjoy trap music. So, it's a complicated, I think anyone can enjoy it. I personally would advance the argument that it's the best, it is currently kind of at its peak right now. So it's definitely, rock and roll in the 80s or whatever, or folk music in the 60s or something, right? So right now we're living in the age of trap, so you might as well, become acquainted with it. I think the sound has a lot of Walker, what's up, man? So yeah, I mean, if you don't really like it, it's not for everyone, and I could certainly see why some people wouldn't be super hyped on it, but I don't know. I just personally, I think it's always interesting to acquaint yourself with what is really compelling at the time. And right now, it's having its moments. It's kind of having its moments. So it's just like it's an interesting time to get acquainted with something that's really taken the culture by storm. Anyways, wait, shoot, stuffed peppers. Just Dance is gone. Okay, we might have to push that review back. I was originally going to review Just Dance for Nintendo Switch, but I may have replaced that with my Stuffed Peppers review. Keep a lookout for my Just Dance review next week. It's a bummer. It's a great game. So next up, we're going to talk about a big, a really exciting update in kind of the graphics world, which is something I'm super interested in. Unreal Engine 5 had a big demo that they published, and it really took Twitter by storm. Everyone was losing their mind over it, and understandably so. It's insane. It's one of the more impressive things I've seen in a while, and as a big user of Unity, I was a little, I use Unity, so I don't really use Unreal, And so I was a little bummed that this demo was so epic, but then I was stoked because it's just kind of a testament to how far graphics have come and exactly how far they're going to go. So you can see over on the side, I'm not sure, one of these sides, that side, over here, you can see kind of some examples of what they were showing at this demo. Some of those things were dynamic global illumination, which is just kind of the most advanced real-time lighting system. But the big thing that everyone was talking about that was so crazy was truly virtualized geometry. So basically, if you want to put a 3D object into a game engine, it's extremely taxing on the game engine. So if you want to actually do that, you kind of have to compress that object as much as possible so that it'll look compelling in real time. But Unreal Engine claims that you no longer have to do that with the latest version of Unreal Engine. So, shout out to Unreal Engine if you guys pulled that off. That's incredibly impressive. I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly what working with this technology is going to do. I'm open to it, and I just think it just goes to show, the future of VR, of movies. I think about Apocalypse Now, and I'm just like, if they'd made, it was one of the most challenging movies ever to make, and I can obviously see why. They had to. I was reading they had to, rent all these helicopters from the Philippines government, and the Philippine government was simultaneously trying to put down an insurrection, and basically they had to repaint the helicopters twice a day so that they could fight in this war and rent out these helicopters to Francis Ford Coppola. So it's kind of like physical production is just so difficult, and if you look at what Unreal is now kind of capable of, we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to do all this stuff. It's also considering quarantine. This is crazy. Physical production's been shut down for a long time. Like, look over here at what you're capable of doing using a game engine. It's really going to make life a lot easier for a lot of people. So I think that's a great thing. Shout out Unreal. Way to go. All right. So this is a pretty short episode today. I apologize, but a lot of people ask, what does the new vlog format mean for Coby's brain? So a lot of people. So for those of you who don't know what the whole purpose of Coby's brain is, it is gathering data about my preferences in order to one day create an artificially intelligent Coby. Kind of a crazy idea. Hopefully it'll work eventually. But what does this new vlog format mean for Coby's brain? So in terms of creating this AI, I would argue that these videos are going to provide a lot more data, especially in terms of figuring out kind of how voice works, how my face would be animated. So I think it benefits a lot. It's a little bit more complex, I guess, for to take in video than just text, which was what we were working with before in blog format. But basically, this is more data, in my opinion.
Can you explain your overall AI goal?
Yes. So the overall goal is we are taking data regarding all of these other food preferences. Talk to me about food that is good, and music and films and all this stuff, all these preferences and just thoughts in general. I'm basically outputting everything that exists inside my brain into a digitized format that can be eventually fed into a single AI. And basically, some controversial comments going on in chat. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Producer is encouraging no further comment on such questions. So basically, AI is going to represent Coby in an interesting way, in a compelling way, and hopefully it works. I hope so. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, everyone. New episodes Sunday at 4. Any further questions for anyone? Q&A time. Yeah. Throw your questions in the chat. No further questions. It's all good. If there are further topics you want me to discuss, will your face look like that AI with the blue eyes? No, it will not. It will hopefully look a lot better.
When is Ron Roach coming out?
Great question. When is Ron Roach coming out? Ron Roach should be out in the next couple of weeks. So basically, keep an eye out for that. I'll be actually probably screening it on Twitch. So stay excited for that. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. More interesting content to come.